Hello friends, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, and I'm so excited to be video hopping with Altenew for their July 2023 stamps, dies, stencils, and other products release. So let me introduce Dreamy Daylilies. So it's got an embossing folder. I also use the die, and then I use the stencil to color these beautiful blooms. So here is that die, and then here are the stencils. And then here's that gorgeous embossing flower, embossing folder with the flower on it. I love this thing. So again, the first thing I did was I took the grid stencil, and I'm using one of the yellow inks to go ahead and ink that background. And you can see that I've left the center of it blank for the image. So I spritzed it with some water, and then I'm setting it on my die cutting plates, and then I'll add a paper towel to get the extra squishiness out, and then add another plate. And I'm just running it through my die cutting machine to print that background. I thought this was a unique way. So again, you can see I still have that blank spot in the middle, and that's where the image is going to go. So what I'm doing is I'll pull out my embossing folder and go ahead and line the image, the embossed image, up with that blank space as best I can. Again, there is some overlap, but that's okay. So again, I'll go ahead and pull it out of the embossing folder. And you can see here I've grabbed the stencil, and we're going to start coloring. So again, I've got my Altenew mini blending brush, which I love these things. So I'm coloring it with, I've used frayed leaf and forest glades for the green. So again, you can see I've got my green done, and now I'm moving on to some of the petals. So again, we'll get those lined up. I did the center in just a light yellow color. And now I'm moving on and using chamomile. Nope, we're going to go to marigold. Sorry. I wanted a little bit darker orange. And you can see there that I'm stamping off the blending tool, because I've discovered that since the brushes are so dense, that if you don't stamp off first, you're going to end up with circles on your stamp or on your stenciled image. So be careful with that. But again, so I'm just coloring in the edges of the bloom here. And we'll move the stencil again and just, kind of keep coloring here until I get the complete image colored. I just think this is gorgeous. And you can see here that I'm using both a white tape, and I'm also using a scrap of cardstock. I often do that when I'm stenciling to be sure that I don't accidentally color the background. So I'll just grab a piece of just cardstock that's hanging around my desk and just kind of throw it underneath the edge of the stencil, and that just protects my background. Ooh, isn't that pretty? So again, we got just a little bit more to go here. And again, what I love about using stencils is that you have the opportunity to add ink lightly, and then in areas where you want to add depth or texture, you can go back and add additional ink there. So it's just a really great technique. I mean, Altenew has come out with some great layered stencils lately. I just really love them. I think they're gorgeous. So there's that part. So again, obviously I'm going to trim that down to be an A2. And so the last thing I'm doing is just kind of adding those center stamens there. And so this is actually where I'm using the marigold. I use Snapdragon on the blooms. I'm sorry, I misspoke. So again, there is my card. So I've trimmed it down, and I'm going to mount it on an A2 card base using an orange background there to kind of create a little frame around. And you can see I've got a sentiment already done. This is one that I went ahead and embossed, and It's from the Bold Sentiment set. So again, I went ahead and I inked it, excuse me, and with the marigold, and then embossed in clear over it because I like to have my sentiments be stand out a little bit. And again, I layered it on 3 layers of small white cardstock, and we'll just go ahead and place that one down in the bottom right-hand corner, and there's that card finished. So the next one, I use the Dotted Waves debossing folder, which is also from this release. And then I went ahead and colored the flowers. And this time I used Pink Pearl, Coral Bliss, kind of, more of the coral colors on this one. And then I've obviously die cut it. So what I'm doing now is just taking that debossing or debossed cardstock, and I'm using the Altenew glue tape runner, attaching it to the front, and then I'm going ahead and using Altenew foam tape to pop up that particular part. I want the center flower to be popped up, so again, just adds great dimension on that. So again, I've got my sentiment already cut out there, sitting there saying "so grateful," and this is the Essential Sentiments die cut, which I use a lot. That's another one. I use a lot of Altenew sentiments a lot because I love them all. So again, I'm just finishing getting it on there, and once I had popped off the backing, now I'm just going through and trimming the points. Again, it's kind of hard to get them to exactly the right shape when you're working on them. So again, I'm gonna just trim those. And again, I'll list all of the colors that I used in the description below in case you're curious, since I misspoke earlier. So again, right now I'm just pulling off all of the foam tape. So we'll go ahead and pop that all off. It always makes a mess on my desk. And then it's got electricity in it, so it kind of sticks, but that's okay. long as you get the effect you want. So now I've got that debossed cover, and I'm just kind of going to take and mount this, where I want, so that I've got most of the blooms on here. And then I did end up trimming the leaves off that were hanging over, and so we'll just go ahead and attach that "so grateful" sentiment on there. So I'm just getting it ready, adding some glue. And then I did put a little piece of foam tape under the left-hand side since the bloom was popped up. So that just helps it to be equal. So again, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Blogger, and YouTube. I would love it if you would come and subscribe to my YouTube channel and the other sites.